This was to test the waters, how willing people are to cooperate when the law says you have to do certain things, and these are the hidden hand people that make the law. Good morning, Trinity International. Thank you for joining me once again on our online Sunday morning broadcast. Beloved, I just wanted to thank you for your contributions to the kingdom work. Without you, what we do here will be near impossible. But thank God for using you to help us to do His work. May God bless you richly. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Housekeeping matters, the fasting that I spoke about, 21 days, some of you have completed your fast, some of you are still on the fast. Make sure the main goal is so that you put away all the things that the worldly brain wants you to dwell on. That's the goal. The next one is that on the 1st of March will be our next live service at the church in Silver Glen, Chatsworth, and the starting time is 9 o'clock as usual, but that will be on the 1st of March. And on every last Sunday of the month, we plan to have services at the church with our regular online broadcast continuing. So I know there's many of you watch from outside of Durban that may not be able to come to our services outside the country. We will still be online. Beloved, we've got a lot of things to go through today. Hopefully, I'll be able to cover it in time. Now, the first thing I want you to know is that everything I share with you in the beginning section of this sermon is all relevant. Relevant to the things we've been sharing about in this last few weeks, especially. You will know now, it's on all the major news networks that the Department of Justice in the United States have been forced to release the emails of Jeffrey Epstein, the notorious pedophile and sex trafficker. Now, just so that you know, and I shared this with you before, that in this world we have a hidden hand. A group of people who are not of this world. I'm using that term loosely because they carry spirits of entities out of this world. Very high principalities and powers. They are sitting inside of human beings. They are of the bloodline of what we have learned to be called watchers. And they run the world. They've established several organizations to carry out their unscrupulous covert operations in the world. And some of them that we know famously are the CIA of the United States, and I showed you in previous sermons how they were set up and to what end they were set up. Then we get the MI6 of Britain and very powerful organization, the Mossad in Israel, and the list goes on. These are the people who recruit certain people from the world and use them to carry out the agenda of the hidden hand. And one of these people is Jeffrey Epstein. I think all the evidence points to these things. Now, in recent days, the Department of Justice has released 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, many believe that he is passed on, but the truth remains to be seen. However, I'll suggest this, that now they've dumped heinous documents that talk of heinous things, things that, you know, a normal human being, especially those with a conscience, won't be able to stomach. It's so disturbing and disgusting. But they decided, let's dump all 3 million at the same time. And one of the reasons that the Hidden Hand has chosen to release this now to the world is to make it so popular that it numbs the conscience. It's planned to desensitize the human being. You know, when you first hear of men sexually assaulting a 3-year-old child, murdering 1-year-olds. For example, in these emails, there's a talk of Jeffrey Epstein's farm in New Mexico. And a witness, a Spanish woman, gave evidence that she was taken there. And women from all over the world are kidnapped, brought there, bred to give birth to babies. Those babies are used as sacrificial offerings, used for organ harvesting and so forth. And when this lady spoke out quite frantically, not long after that, she was found mysteriously that she committed suicide in an apartment in Spain. Now, these are the sorts of things that are coming out. And when you first hear of these things, it's like, oh my goodness, how could this ever be possible in the world? And as more and more are coming out and surfacing, you start to become numb. Oh, you've seen one, you see them on. And this is the purpose where people lose their enthusiasm for harboring the disgust, for having disgust on, when things. It wants people to accept. The Hidden Hand wants people to now accept and become numb to this sort of thing. Even what happened in Gaza, it's a repeated broadcast. And even some of the mainstream media channels, which are an arm of the Hidden Hand, they show these things because it's meant to desensitize you. In other words, it's meant to numb the conscience, the divine light, the soul within a man. So, in the background of all this information that I'm about to give you, I want you to understand that it's there to serve their purpose for leaking so many right now. Now, we know about Bill Gates and all that his nefarious doings, but I want to show you how connected Jeffrey Epstein is to all the things that are happening in the world, being used as an agent, planted for the purposes of fulfilling the plans of the Hidden Hand. Now, in one leaked email, now there's like 3 million, as I said, so documents. So we're going to just go through a few, just to show you a few things. Now, Jeffrey Epstein wrote or received an email from Bill Gates. The name is blacked out, but other redacted copies show us who it's from. And this is what Bill Gates writes to Epstein in an email in 2015. And the subject is preparing for pandemics. Please find attached a draft agenda for the meeting on preparing for pandemics as requested. So Epstein requested that one of the puppets, who is named Bill Gates, must send him a report on the planning that they have and the preparation that they're making for the pandemics. Then Jeffrey says, or Bill says, let's discuss next steps. For example, how to officially involve the WHO and the ICRC. Best regards, I hope we can pull this off. So as you can see that in 2015, they were planning what was the outbreak in 2019, and the man at the center of the whole thing is Jeffrey Epstein. So he was not just a trafficker of women and children and abuse and so forth. He was a monitor of sorts, put in place by agencies under the hidden hand so that he can keep an eye on what plans the subordinates are making. And just for your information, when this disease broke out in 2019 and they were starting to distribute the poke around the world, the organization that was responsible for taking these drugs to different parts of the inaccessible places of Africa especially was the ICRC. Now what it stands for is the International Committee of the Red Cross. So the Red Cross, supposed to be representing an organization of God, but it was representing this organization infiltrated by Bill Gates, coordinated by Epstein. Now as you can see, the IRCRC is the global response to the poke. In this chain of emails, we see Bill Gates' connection with Epstein. And Epstein, in an email that we will see, confirms that he works for one of the bloodlines of the Watchers called the Rothschilds. Let me show you how dangerous these people are. Now the reason I'm bringing it to you because this event has just taken place. So there is a news reporter from NBC. Her name is Savannah Guthrie. And in an interview, she asks Bill Gates, at the end of last year, this interview took place, I believe, about his relationship with Epstein. He says, as an excuse, that he was raising money for health, promoting health and so forth. But the emails that we are now shown show something totally different. In those emails, Bill was talking about receiving a sexual disease while he was engaged in intimacy with some Russian girls. And Epstein writes to him, telling him a few things, and we probably will go through it just now, and giving him advice how to use antibiotics so that he can slip it to his wife, Melinda Gates, so that she will not know that he contracted this disease. Let's watch this clip.
You might also remember this, Savannah Guthrie asking Bill Gates why he was so close with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and take a look at Bill's face as he tries to come up with a suitable response.
I have to ask you about Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda mentioned that was one of the strains, your relationship with him. And, why? I guess the question is real simple. I mean, why did you continue to meet with him? When you met him, he was already a convicted sex offender. And do you regret that?
I certainly made a huge mistake, not only meeting him in the first place, but I met with him a number of times. I had a goal of raising money for global health. I didn't realize that in a meeting with him, almost downplayed the incredibly awful things he did. I learned more about that over time.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you did. You learned a lot about that over time, didn't you, Bill? And we all totally believe that you met up with Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly because you wanted to raise money for everybody's health, Bill. But it doesn't sound like health was a huge concern for Bill Gates, who allegedly got an STD from a Russian prostitute and then wanted to slip his wife antibiotics without her knowing. Call me crazy, but it doesn't seem like health was a huge deal for Bill Gates because Bill was allegedly pretty fast and loose, pretty reckless in his private time. Behind closed doors, You know what I mean. Certain things have to happen to acquire said STD, allegedly, reportedly. And then his ex-wife was asked about all of this today, and she didn't deny any of it.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs and that he tried to get medication to treat a sexually transmitted infection, and that he was going to give you the medicine without you knowing. His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right?
That woman is worth $29 billion after divorcing Bill Gates. Think about that. Think about the fact that she didn't deny a thing because she, in her heart of hearts, knows that it's probably true, allegedly. So why do we always pretend these people are something that clearly they are not?
So this lady, this news reporter, Savannah Guthrie, apparently it looks like she overstepped in asking a question that was not supposed to be asked. Now, what is disturbing is that the very same reporter, she has a mother who is in the 80s, I believe. Her name is Nancy. And it's all over the news currently. Her mother Nancy, Savannah's mother Nancy Guthrie, devout Christian woman, went missing mysteriously from her home. And the headlines, you just watch this clip so that we can learn more.
Investigators still don't know where Nancy Guthrie is, although they said they are finished processing the crime scene at her home here in Tucson. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home against her will sometime between Saturday night and Sunday morning. That, according to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. And there are a lot of eyes on this case because Guthrie is the mother of NBC Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. As of Tuesday, there were some things Sheriff Nanos wouldn't say. He said he's not sure whether there's more than one suspect, and said they didn't know yet if the abduction was targeted, but that they're working all kinds of leads.
9:45, 9:30, 9:45, we were told she was left at her home by the family. At 11 o'clock in the morning, the family got notice from somebody at church that she was not at church. They went to the home, found her to be missing. That's the timeline.
He said they combed the home for things like fingerprints, DNA, and camera images, and are waiting on those results to come back. The FBI is also involved now, helping to conduct interviews and analyzing things like cell phone data and cell tower data. And there's an added sense of urgency here as Nancy Guthrie has gone multiple days without her daily medication. Sheriff Nanos says the hope is that she's still alive.
Now, what is disturbing is that all the camera footage from her home cannot be recovered somehow. It's just wiped clean. This is how dangerous these people are. It's assumed that Nancy, the elderly woman, is now late because she didn't have any of her medication and she was on serious medication just to keep her alive. Now, there's another reel I want you to see. Let's watch this.
Take a look at this video I found in the Epstein files, which appears to be taken on Epstein's plane. There are two girls and a man who is not redacted. Does anybody know who this man is? We've just been able to identify this man seen in the Epstein files flying on Epstein's plane. His name's Nati Tetwa, and he's a former South African ambassador to France. But the story just gets even more insane.
Unanswered questions about the circumstances of the death of South Africa's ambassador to France, Natim Tetwa. He was found dead in France earlier this week after falling apparently from the 22nd floor of a hotel in Paris.
Yeah, he took his own life last year.
Now, this is a South African that was involved with Epstein. And you see, Epstein has his fingers all over the world, in Ukraine, in Russia, in Japan, in Korea, in South Africa, in some parts of Africa, watching over the cohorts he has, the puppets on the string, to make sure that this certain work gets done for the hidden hand. And now this man, Natim Tetwa, dies mysteriously falling from a building in Paris, and that was very strange. The world that these people live in is very dangerous. Jeffrey Epstein confirms to Peter Thiel, and maybe we'll discuss Peter Thiel in some other episode because he is a central figure in bringing in digital monitoring, digital surveillance. He's the one that put J.D. Vance in place. This man is pivotal to their operations. This man is currently running a Christian organization at the moment, spreading the so-called gospel, so that the people who he is brainwashing, the gospel useful idiots, will embrace the new digital age that's coming. But more of that some other time. So in this email, Jeffrey tells Peter Thiel, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschild. At the end of this email, he says, come to the island, or if you would like to meet me in Saudi at the end of the month. So this is the circles, the island, of notorious island where young ladies, young girls and children were sexualized. Now this is how they operate. He wanted to infiltrate certain organizations like the ICRC and also the World Health Organization. And all these instructions have come from the World Economic Forum. And this is what shows that what was planned in 2019 is not a coincidence, and all the conspiracy theorists that are out there were not wrong. And this is what it says. Technology fronts that could help realize my carbon initiatives for shaping the future towards smart and sustainable cities. This becomes relevant when we dig deeper, probably next week. Specifically to mention 3 developments in this context. The disease was the test of social responsibility. A huge number of unimaginable restrictions for public health were adopted by billions of citizens across the world. This was to test the waters, how willing people are to cooperate when the law says you have to do certain things, and these are the hidden hand people that make the law. Now I just thought I'll whet your appetite for something. There is a, in the government records of the United States, you can access it, and there's a means of accessing government records. According to the website that I've used, the America Uncensored is an organization, and this organization took a screenshot, and they did their own research, but you can do it as well. And they say that you can follow the link to the government website and click the first file, Department of State and so forth in 2018, and they give you the page number and the reference number. When you go there, you will see a document. Now, whenever a politician or anybody requests something from the State Department, it gets recorded, and this is the file that records this information. There's a person called Saniga, and the Saniga is requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of Gilgamesh's body, and the location of the buried Nephilim. And this was in 2018. Now this name Denitra Saniga is a pseudonym, a fake name, used by none other than Hillary Clinton. This is what the website tells us. Now, she wanted to know about an ancient civilization leader called Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh appears as a fallen angel or a Nephilim who lived and was recorded by Enoch in the book of Watchers, or the book of Giants, or the book of Enoch, whichever you want to refer to. Gilgamesh was referred to in that book. Now these people, they know about the watchers, they know about the Nephilim, and this woman wanted to personally find out about certain things for whatever reason. Probably they wanted to trace the roots back, the bloodlines back. Now, according to our research, this is what it tells us. Gilgamesh appears as a character in the Book of Giants, which I've told you, especially in Aramaic fragments found among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. He is depicted as one of the ancient wicked giant offspring of the fallen angels or the watchers, a Nephilim's child, and that child is called an Elioid. Now, just so you know, the watchers, the fallen angels, came and had relations with earthly women. They gave birth to children. Those children were called Nephilim. Then the Nephilim also had children with humans and other creatures, and they gave birth to what we call Elioids. These Elioids are the grandchildren of watchers. Now, this is the bloodline of the Edomites. They, if you can use the term, they are called Elioids. And Elioid is, Gilgamesh is one of those Elioids. And what this email was sought, or this request from the State Department, is to give them history about their great-grandfather's bloodline. Now, according to our research, renowned as a demigogue is Gilgamesh, 2/3 God, 1/3 human. So he had Watcher's blood, Nephilim blood, and human blood. He had immense strength. Now, in the Book of Giants, or the Book of Enoch, certain parts of the fragment is destroyed, so we'll read just what we can. In this, it says, I am a giant, or I am giant, Gilgamesh says. And by the mighty strength of my arm and my own great strength, any one mortal, and I have made war against them, but I am not able to stand against them, for my opponents reside in heaven, and they dwell in holy places, and not, they are stronger than I. Of the wild beast has come, and the wild man they call me. So this book is not a myth. It's not some fairy tale in someone's mind. These people at the State Department are looking into this for some reason. But Gilgamesh himself says that he is fighting against a mortal. Now he's talking about a living being. But he mentions this living being is from heaven, which means that the divine light within this human is alive, is awake. And so Gilgamesh could not conquer this human. So, I just thought I'll mention, that's interesting to hear, so that we know that our belief in what God has told us and brought us to understand so far is not a myth. It's not an abstract thing that some theologians are searching for. It's fact. Now, whatever is going on in the world, even Gilgamesh was afraid when the divine light of a person became alive and awake. He called that individual from heaven. He says, they are from heaven, and I can't fight against them. They are stronger than I. And so, just so that you understand, the goal of these people, therefore, they know the history of what Gilgamesh said. And so their goal is to take that light away from the human, that soul. They want to take it away. They want to numb the soul if they can't take it away. They want to destroy the divine light because if that divine light awakens, oh my God, you become a powerful entity. They cannot touch you. They cannot defeat you. They cannot destroy you. You are, in their eyes, from heavenly realms. And this is what awakening does. It reminds you, or it causes the remembrance or from where you are. Therefore, all the things that they're doing in the world, you don't have to be scared about it. You don't have to be frightened that they're going to destroy you in some way. And so, they're researching this about their great-grandfather Gilgamesh to find out what he was afraid of. And how did he ever manage to defeat this one mortal he's talking about? So if they can manage to take away your divinity, your divine light within, they will be able to conquer you. And so they want to do that. Beloved, this is why it's important for you not to destroy your own light, for you to search for it, for you to awaken it. Now there's another email from a man called Mark Fisher, and he writes to Jeffrey Epstein. And this is the interesting part. He says a Jewish soul has a very different structure. Different ingredients or components. Relates to its higher levels differently. Has different higher levels. Relates to itself and other people in a different manner than a non-Jewish soul. To use repair methods meditation on something as sensitive as a soul requires the right tools. You cannot fix an Aston Martin with a Ford pickup truck tool set. With the right meditation, it isn't so hard. And then he's talking about contacting him on the 22nd and so forth. Now, just to let you know, this man committed suicide, Mark Fisher, in 2017 sometime. This email was in 2010. This confirms to you that their makeup, the Edomites, the Elioites, their children, their makeup is not like ours. They have something in them which they call a soul, but it's unlike the divine light of God's children. Unlike, it's different. It has different components. There's another email from a man called Robert Trivers. This man is a disgusting socialist. He sent an email to Jeffrey on the 17th of December, and he says this: it is very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men, by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features, the second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects, heavily bearded men. You will never guess that they had a female bone in their body. Now listen, this email goes on to talk about disgusting things that I find inappropriate to even show you. But as you can see, Epstein is the handler that monitors people's changing their genetic makeup, phenotypes. Phenotype and genotype is two different. Phenotype is how they appear. Changing their genes so their appearance changes. In other words, they want to make all men, from the time they are born out of their mother's womb, through what they are fed, the milk that they drink, the food that they eat, they want to use testosterone blockers and at the same time increase estrogen so that male children, you will notice this around the world, that today, unlike in the 80s and 90s, there are more female-like men in the world. And women are tending to become more male-like, more dominating. This was to upset the order. And when you change the genetics of a man, you change the character of a person, which means that you affect the person's light within. Now, Robert Trivers received grants from Epstein, which he received from the CIA and so forth, so that he can do this kind of research and experimentation. So he was involved in one thing here, he was involved in another thing there, Epstein. So he was not just one person. And this man was, Trivers was a Harvard educated professor. He was now at that time at the Rutger University, and he was doing research on how to use the food industry, how to use the medical industry to achieve this goal. For example, baby formulas. According to the research that I've done now, it may contain specific ingredients and trace contaminants that have been studied for their ability to interact with our endocrine system. For example, the soy-based formula and phytoestrogens. The most significant source of hormonal activity in infant formula is soy, which is found in about 25% of the formulas sold in the United States, not counting outside. According to the National Association of Child Development, isoflavone, soy contains the high levels of genistein and daidzein, which are phytoestrogens, plant compounds structurally similar to human estrogen. Then they talk about hormonal activity. In some animal studies, exposure to the isoflavones have been shown to increase estrogen levels and reduce testosterone levels in male subjects. Human exposure, infants fed exclusively soy formula can have circulating isoflavone levels 13,000 to 22,000 times higher than the natural estradiol levels. It goes on to tell us trace endocrine disruptors. Beyond primary ingredients, formula may contain trace amounts of endocrine disrupting chemicals that can mimic or block hormones. Phthalates and biphenyls, these chemicals are migrating from packaging that can have anti-androgenic effects, blocking testosterone or estrogenic effects. Pesticides. Trace elements of pesticides are monitored because of the potential to interfere with endocrine pathways. Brands like Similac, Gerber, Infamil, etc., they are all involved in the soy thing. And as you can see from the email, the person conducting this, like an orchestra around the world, was Jeffrey Epstein. So when you disrupt the genes, you're creating an artificial spirit. And that is what God was talking about. A few sermons ago, I shared that with you. And now the strange thing is that these soybeans will not be labeled GMO. Let's watch.
Buy some Bill Gates biological beans? Well, it turns out, looks like they're coming. I just got a report that Bill Gates has donated $50 million to a new company called Tarana Biosciences, and they're going to create a new category of biologically modified crops. One of their first targets is soybeans, but you won't know that you're buying a modified soybean from this Bill Gates technology because our EPA has said that it is, quote, naturally occurring compounds and is not GMO. What am I talking about? It's taking RNA from a virus and using it to insert whatever gene they want into whatever crop they want. Once the RNA is inside the plant, it replicates and it gives it different features, and the company brags that they can create whatever feature they want. One of their targets is to make it more insect resistant. So you're going to put insecticides within the food. They're targeting tomatoes, corn, and soybeans first. It will not be labeled as modified and it will not be labeled as GMO. But Bill Gates is betting on making profit by genetically modifying our food without telling us. Our EPA has already given it the green light.
Now in 2017, Bill Gates sends a message to Jeffrey Epstein, and the heading is deliverables and scope. You can see it's written Bill Gates, 3rd of March 2017, to Bill Gates, and this other email is from Epstein, and he says, Bill, Larry and I have been working on deliverables from my time at the BGC3. Now, BGC3 is actually the nickname for Bill Gates Ventures, since you and I spoke. And then it continues. 2 areas where I am interested in terms of scope: domestic health and neurotech brain science. So Epstein is telling Bill Gates what the agenda is and what he must do. Then he says, I propose these are deliverables. Please, Larry, and I know what you think. Deliverables such as, we'll just go through a few. To improve access and secure personal health data. It's a knowledge proof based digital system to secure private personal health information while allowing access to digitally redacted personal information. So if your information about your health is redacted, they can access it because they have control over it. Then they're talking about consumer health expenditure, white paper on neurotechnologies related to chronic and degenerative diseases such as diabetes and so forth. Follow-up recommendation, technical specifications of strain pandemic simulation. So this man was the one that wanted Bill Gates to do the simulation that we saw in 2019, where they had this big simulation of what will happen if the pandemic comes into the world. But the person who pulled the string for this is not Bill Gates. The person is sort of his boss, Epstein. And then he says, happen to do whatever else is helpful or adapt along the way. Thank you for the opportunity, and so forth. Now, beloved, I'm throwing all this at you so that in different parts of it, so that you can see a picture that will build. Now, listen, Google is the largest search engine in the world. We know that, right? But it started off as a military project funded by DARPA. Let's watch this.
Google is an addendum in many respects of the U.S. government. Google was started at Stanford by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who were getting their Stanford PhD on a DARPA grant for a joint CIA-NSA project called the Massive Digital Data System Program to track how birds of a feather flock together in Web 1.0 static web page search. The internet started as a military project. DARPA made civilian use by the National Science Foundation and then rolled out to the World Wide Web in 1990. And in that period, you had all these different foreign countries who were searching the internet for things. And the CIA and NSA believed that if they could have a systematic way of understanding search queries in foreign countries, that it could serve as a early warning political radar system in order to track the rise and fall of popularity of various political movements. And that would allow intelligence and statecraft to interface and potentially amplify or subvert those movements. And that's how Google started.
Now, the hidden hand has had a hand in all of this. And they've used at the top echelons of their structure, the bankers. And this is the only people that Jesus whipped in the New Testament. The bankers. These are the men, the Rothschilds and so forth, that control the money flow in the world. And these bankers, as we know now, are Elioids. They are of the bloodline of the Watchers. Now listen, those in power are all connected. Anybody, and I shared this with you for years now, anybody who gets a platform in the world, who gets recognized in the world, they cannot get recognized unless they are in the club of the hidden hand. It's a big club. For example, in those files, I wasn't meant to mention it, but in those files is the world-renowned spiritualist Dalai Lama. He's mentioned 139 times in the Epstein files, and we learned this a while back, where he was inappropriately mouth-to-mouth kissing a little boy. We also know that Deepak Chopra is in there. Now, I don't know if Nicole can call it up because I didn't put it in my notes, but Deepak Chopra was having a conversation with Epstein. He was involved in the religious and spiritual side of things as well, Epstein. In that email, Epstein asks this man some questions, Deepak, and Deepak responds by saying, girls are cute and real, but God is a construct of a man's mind. So in other words, God is not real, but cute girls are real. Then he goes on in that email to say to Epstein, you can come to my island, you can come to Israel, I'm going to Israel, you can come and meet me there. If you want, you cannot use your own name, and you can bring all the girls you want with you, all your girls, and it will be fun. Can you understand now why this man's books were on the #1 New York best-selling list, world-renowned spiritualists? So, the veil is falling, and Jesus said, all that is in darkness will come to light, especially to those who are awakened. There will be some. You know, when you have such an allegiance to a person, you've been following their teachings, and when they fall, you can't accept it. You still deny it, like Trump sort of. And so, just so that you know how connected these are, I'm going to show you another example. I'm going to show you a picture in front of you. And as you can see in this picture, you're going to look at certain people there. You can see Ghislaine Maxwell, that's Jeffrey Epstein's sort of handler, right-hand woman, girlfriend, whatever you call her. She's now in prison. The other one is sort of dead, as they say, Epstein. You can see Bill Gates there, and you can see Bill Clinton there and Jeff Bezos, all the honchos who are from the club. Then there's an Indian woman. Her name is Meera Nair. She's holding a little boy, and that little boy, you'll be shocked to know who it is. It's the current mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani. And these people are groomed. Meera was married to Mitch Epstein, and there's certain speculations and rumors that Zohran, the child, is actually the child of Jeffrey, but that's all speculation. But the point is that you cannot become the city of New York's mayor, you cannot become Chicago mayor, you cannot become any mayor, you cannot become anything unless you are part of the club. And if you're not, and you manage to win public support, you will be taken out. And those who don't follow the script that they give them, put them in a post, they don't follow the script, it's like how your mother tells you, I brought you into this world, I can take you out. And that's what they do. Let's watch this little clip.
Guys, we just broke the entire Jeffrey Epstein story. If Ace Greenberg brought Jeffrey Epstein into the BCCI deals at Bear, that explains literally everything. It explains Jeffrey Epstein's meteoric rise. It explains why everyone was so charmed by him. Hint, not because of his charm. It explains how in 1982 he's already meeting with major CIA, MI6, Saudi intelligence officials, Doug Lee, Stan Pottinger, Adnan Khashoggi, Middle Eastern sheikhs. Oh, it's because he handled BCCI at Bear, handling CIA financing, disguising illegal weapons sales as complex financial transactions for commodities or oil. That explains how Jeffrey Epstein got a specialty in complex financial transactions. Oh, because he got it because he was put on the BCCI account. Oh, that explains how he's working with Edgar Bronfman, because BCCI was helping U.S., Saudi, British, but also Israeli interests in the Iran-Iraq affair and in Afghanistan. That explains how he was protected every time he got in trouble with fraud. The Justice Department takes action against Jeffrey Epstein for securities laws violations. Jeffrey Epstein openly says in court that Bear Stearns was actually secretly moving money for the CIA. Well, that can't come out in open court. Okay, let's not move forward with prosecution. Don't want to reveal national security secrets. That explains how Jeffrey Epstein has these French intelligence connection points, how Jeffrey Epstein has these British intelligence connection points, how he's got these Israeli intelligence connection points. That explains how he's got these Saudi intelligence connection points. And that definitely explains how he has all these CIA connection points. They're all connected through the late 1970s Safari Club network that then scaled up BCCI.
Now this BCCI stands for the Bank of Credit and Commercial International. This is how they funded. Now the Bear Stearns company, who handled the BCCI account, it closed down, and was taken over by none other than JP Morgan Chase. It's where the bankers operate from the shadows from. They use that facility. Beloved, we are living in a world with very dangerous entities. And the Bible clearly warns us, we wrestle not against flesh and blood here. We wrestle against principalities and powers, and you have to be on your guard against people with no souls, beings not of our nature. They are devoid of a soul, and they want to reach into us and remove our soul, our divine light as well. Nash says, looks like they want to bottle it somewhere and harvest it, and in order for Satan to become like God, he wants to find out what is this light and can I take it, can I use it? I don't know what their plan is, but listen, let's let David Icke remind us of something.
The ultimate level of human control is of our very perception of the world we're living in. First of all, you give them phones. Then you give them smartphones. Then you go to technology on the body. Next is inside the body. The other side of it is what they call the cloud. Through the medium of this cloud, they will connect to this self-replicating nanotechnology in the body. It will control what you think. Artificial intelligence becomes the human mind. That's the goal. So, is it such a stretch to think that an anti-human agenda could be perpetrated ultimately by a non-human race, a non-human force operating outside of human visual sight? That's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, while we're arguing over whether Trump gets in or...
Listen, they're coming after the brain, the mind, that's the spirit now. They're coming after the pineal gland. They're coming after the gut. They want to remove right brain intuition. They want to remove the sixth sense, the soul's connection to God. They want to replace it with a new light. That light they call luciferase. They want to poke something inside of you, something nano with a light in it, and they want that to be your new guide. So they can talk to you through the computer and instruct you and give you what they will call sixth sense, give you what to do, where to go, and how to... They're planning to embed this into the human body. So remove the soul and put a new kind of light inside, luciferase. Now I'm taking you into some very powerful spiritual enlightenment places, and I want you to listen very carefully. When God showed me this, my mind was blown, I have to tell you. So get ready, and I pray that you listen to it a couple of times so you truly get it. Now I'm going to read to you the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3. Perilous times and perilous men. But know this is the last days. That in the last days, perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors, headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying his power. Now bear in mind, Paul is writing to Christians at a Christian church. So when he's talking about people having a form of godliness, he's talking about Christian people. Now if you look at this new character of the last day men and women and children, the people in the last days, if you look at their character here by the scripture, when you look at all those things that I've read to you now, you will notice that they are all left brain kind of thinking, selfish, for self-preservation, everything for me and me alone. Left brain does not believe in God because it can't. It's only active to help you deal with the physical material world, to measure, to count, to negotiate in this world so that you can live. And I taught you all of this. So when you talk about people in the last days having this character, we're talking about people with no right brain. We're talking about people whose souls have been taken away or numbed, whose divine light has been crushed, who have no conscience. This is who we're talking about in the last days. So when Paul tells Timothy, this is going to come upon the church in the last days especially, all the people, but the church. The devil wants to use the people around us who are not like us to have methods of taking away our divine light, our right brain, our connection with God, so that we'll become all left brain. Everything about me, me, me. Then we'll become boastful, we'll become proud, we'll become blasphemous. We'll have no compassion, we'll have no empathy. And so our conscience will be numb or disappeared altogether. That is the goal. Now, the bankers are the ones that are the children of the Elioid that want to make this happen. As you can see, they're just not merely bankers. They're involved in medical science, they're involved in media, they're involved, and they used this Epstein clown so that he can coordinate all these things with the various entities. He's even used spiritualists that I've told you about, the Dalai Lama. You'll see yoga mentioned in programs constantly. Going for yoga classes. Oh, it's so nice. Meditation classes. Deepak Chopra. They involved, they want to steer man's mind away from godliness. They want to make what that Satan, the one that wrote the Satanic Bible, calls a god of himself. They want to make you think only of yourself, within you, you and you alone. So what happens when left-brain people, when you have a lot of left-brain people in the world, where their souls have been removed, their characters have been changed, where they drank milk that was poison when they were young, where the genes, what are you going to get? You're going to get very selfish, boastful, proud, arrogant people. This is what Paul was talking about. Now, Revelations tell us something. I'm winding down. Listen, but the revelation is going to be powerful. Revelations 13:18 tells us, here is wisdom. That's the first thing you underline. Without wisdom, whatever God says next, you won't understand. Here is what he says. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. His number is 666. Wow. So what is the number of the beast? 666. What is the number of man? 666. Let me explain this so that you'll understand it and pay very careful attention. We who are children of God and who have divine light within us, whether it's awakened or asleep, but it's there. We are called human for a reason, because we are light hue inside of man. Hue, man. When you take the hue out, when you take the light out, you're just going to be left with man. What is man without the light? He is a beast. He is an animal. He is selfish. He is rude. Take light out of human and you have man. So specifically, the book of Revelation doesn't use the word even in Greek for human. He uses the word man. So the carbon-based man is carbon-based. The makeup of carbon is, the perfect carbon is 6 neutrons, 6 protons, 6 electrons. That's where 666 come from. I spoke about that in my red book. So a man with no light is pure carbon. What do you call that man? You call that man 666. That's his mark. That's the mark of a beast. Now that beast that was spoken of in Revelation is not the beast that runs the world. This is the beast, it's a small letter B. It's talking about a wild animal, a human without the right brain, a human without a soul, a human without divine light. That's what he's talking about. Let's look at that scripture and you'll find it. If you look at the word in Greek that was used by John, it's called therio. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but it's therio. In English, it means beast. Now, if you look at the etymology, the genitive form of the ancient Greek noun therion, meaning wild beast, beast of prey or dangerous animal. If you break it down, the root word ther comes from wild beast, and the suffix ion means little beast or little animal. So this is not the big beast system that sits in the United Nations. This is individuals that John is calling beast. You see, animals have no light. They have no divine light. That's why they are animals. When you have a left brain only with no right brain intuition, you can be called a beast. And in the world marching around us through chemical intervention, through pokes, through food, through media releases that make you numb, they want to quieten, dim or remove the light. And then you're going to get walking beasts. You be the mark of the beast. You're not going to need to take a poke. You're going to be that mark, that beast walking around, and only that beast who is connected to the other beast through the poke that will come and so forth, and the laws that they put in place, you will be able to buy and sell and eat and live. Those without the poke, with a soul, with a light inside of you, they're not going. You won't have the mark of the beast, because you are not a beast. You are not just carbon. You have light in you. Listen, when we have this light, we use our gut, our right brain to access the supernatural realm. God, we can prophesy, we can receive intuition from God, we can access the quantum realm, right brain. Man, on the other hand, without that light, with the left brain only, is a golem. Now, Nash told me this and it was so profound. The left brain man counts and measures things. From the time man is born, they wanted to activate your left brain. Man is taught numbers. Everything is numbers. The date, the day, the time you were born. The date you went to school. The date you got married. The time it takes for you to wake up in the morning, to bath, eat. Certain time you must be at work. Numbers, all numbers. How much of money you got in your bank, how much money you're going to need to pay your rent. Everything is involving the left brain. It's all about beast system. The beast system is designed to engage the left brain because it is for the beast. The beast operates with numbers, and it gets obsessed with numbers. Oh, I'm late. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to hurry. Oh, I was born on a certain day. What a lovely month. I have to, only numbers. Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I need more. I need to earn more. I need a 10% raise. I need it. All numbers. Everything is numbers. My cell number. You need my cell number. My email address. Everything has to do with information and numbers to live in this world. When the right brain intervenes, numbers, time and space is meaningless. You see, the disciples came and told Jesus, we have, how many fish you have? 2 fish, that's what they counted, because that's the left brain. Counting 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread. When Jesus' right brain looked at this fish, he didn't see the numbers. He couldn't see the numbers. All he saw was enough to feed. Gave thanks, right brain activated, right brain lives in the quantum world. It does not see space, time and numbers. When you activate that divine light, no number system can hold you down. Jesus was able to feed 5,000 people, men, not including women and children, with what the left brain saw was 2 fish. Science tells us this. Some of you don't want to believe it. Oh, this is just a myth. Listen, you know the first photograph they tried to make of a hydrogen atom. If you look at the photograph, now a hydrogen atom has only one electron, one single electron. When they photographed it, this is the photograph that came out. See all those white dots you're looking at your screen? All those are electrons, but that's only one electron. It is in more than one place at the same time. Electrons don't live in space, time, number time, measuring time like us. And we are made of these electrons. And so if we can believe who we truly are, understand who we truly are, I gave you a nugget right there. If you can activate that divine light, this world, the beast system, cannot hold you down. In that quantum world, where matter originates from, all physical things originate from them, it does not follow classical physical laws. Numbers mean nothing. When you're short of rent, activate and awaken the divine light, you won't be short anymore. It won't even matter. Jesus is giving us the awakening pill. That's what he died for, to awaken our divine light, so that we can become, listen, we are a threat when we are awake. And so this fasting even that you are engaged in, I want you to awaken that light. That's what you must do. Try to make that left brain quiet, making you worry, making you concern yourself about things, about numbers, about shortages, about less time. Even when you age, oh, I have so little time, all that time I wasted in my life. Forget about it. In quantum world, there is no time. Live there. Next week we're going to dive into more stuff, and I want you to follow closely. If you need to listen to this sermon again, please do that. Because, especially the end parts, because the revelation here, if you really get it, you'd understand that the beast system of the world, even while you are alive, cannot touch you, provided you live in right brain quantum spiritual realm. Without it, you are doomed to suffer the consequences. You are doomed to wear the mark of the beast, 666. You'll become the beast system by being a beast with no soul. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for your children, that today we are all together learning and sitting at your throne room floor. And as we learn and understand, let us awaken from our sleep. Let us remember who we are. Let the divinity within us come alive. And Lord, help us with all that we're failing and struggling to activate. Bless us, Lord, together. By your blood, we pray, that will cover us. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you. I hope you have a beautiful week. Please stay in God.